Hi, my name is Ashley Egan. I'm in the Department of Botany, and I've been here since August of 2013. So today I'm going to talk about the plant that ate the South, the introduction and evolutionary history of kudzu. Pueraria montana variation lobata, or kudzu, is a species that many of you may know and love, or hate. Kudzu belongs to the genus Pueraria, which includes about 17 to 20 species, depending on who you talk to, and is native to Southeast Asia, shown here in black. It and primarily one other species have been introduced around the world, shown here in green. Kudzu was introduced into the U.S. at the 1876 Philadelphia World's Expedition, where it was planted as an ornamental outside an exhibitor space. Early on, several people recognized some redeeming qualities of kudzu. Some even went so far as to immortalize their promotion of it in a highway marker, which reads, and I quote, "Kudzu, brought here to this country from Asia as an ornamental, was developed near here in the early part of the 20th century, and given to the world as a soil-saving, high-protein forage plant by Mr. and Mrs. C.E. Please. The fast-growing, deep-rooted leguminous vine has been widely grown in the United States as a drought-resistant, erosion-controlling plant that compares with alfalfa in pasture and haymaking value," unquote. But, in reality, what we really got was this: a highly invasive and destructive species. Just so you know, that is a house. Characteristics contributing to its invasiveness are many, such as the ability to grow up to 1 foot a day. It can live in a variety of climate and soil types, and can spread by seed and underground rhizomes. It is simply tenacious, and seems to be actually trying to take over the world. Kudzu also has several ecological and economic consequences. It costs millions annually in eradication measures. It outcompetes native vegetation, causing loss of biodiversity, and can alter the ecosystem around it, including soil chemistry and shade. It also impacts the structural integrity of forests. The newest cost comes by being the major host plant for a new invasive pest, aptly named the kudzu bug, Megacopta cribraria. The nymph forms are shown here on the kudzu leaf at the top. First discovered in Atlanta in 2009, the pest has spread rapidly over the past 5 years and is threatening crops, especially soybean. I first became interested in Pueraria while investigating the evolutionary relationships of subtribe Glycininae, to which Pueraria belongs. This phylogeny shows the relationships among different genera and species. Normally, a natural taxonomic group such as a genus, should produce a cohesive grouping, or a monophyletic clade. In this project, I sampled 4 species of Pueraria and saw no single species grouped with another. This is what we call polyphyly, and suggests that taxonomy does not reflect evolution as it should. One of the species I included was Pueraria lobata, another name for kudzu. Something certainly wasn't right here. So I wrote an NSF grant, which was happily funded, and included 3 objectives. The first objective involves the phylogeny and taxonomy of Pueraria, including answering questions such as, how many evolutionary lineages exist for Pueraria? How are they related to other phaseolid legumes? And does taxonomy reflect evolution? The second objective deals with more genetic diversity and population genetics within and among Pueraria species, particularly kudzu, and is aimed at answering questions such as, how many times was kudzu introduced into the United States, and from what genetic sources? The third objective involves integrating research and education. Today I'm going to talk primarily about Objective 1. So to build a phylogeny, we must first collect samples. This map shows our collection efforts in 2012 and 2013 to collect both population-level sampling of kudzu as well as related species across Southeast Asia. We also collected in Japan, but that is not shown here. For evolutionary context, we also sampled as many genera as possible in the Phaseoli tribe, to which Pueraria also belongs, and we were able to include 1 to 2 species for 113 genera, representing 80% generic level sampling, which is quite good actually right now. In addition, we have data for 70% of the Pueraria species. To test the monophyly of Pueraria, we created molecular phylogenies based on 2 genetic markers, one of which I'm going to show you here today. If Pueraria represented a natural group, we should see a single grouping. Instead, we see 5 separate lineages. The largest group, in green, contains kudzu and most of the Pueraria species. We also see 4 other lineages spread across phaseoloid legumes. These include Pueraria phaseoloides, Pueraria stricta in pink, Pueraria peduncularis, and Pueraria wallichii in blue. We were surprised to find that none of these lineages nested within other previously described genera, which suggested that we need to describe 4 new genera to ensure that taxonomy reflects evolutionary history. To conclude, we found massive polyphyly within Pueraria based on 2 genetic markers, suggesting 5 separate evolutionary lineages and requiring the description of 4 new genera. We are continuing to bolster our work in terms of species sampling, the number of genes, and generic sampling across phaseolae. We are now working on phase 2, including the population genetics and genomics of Pueraria, to investigate the genetic diversity and introduction history of kudzu across native and introduced ranges. We need to complete our sampling in the US, develop satellite markers from transcriptomic data, which we are underway, and we are considering genomic level analyses to help answer the questions of how many introductions to the United States, kudzu, how many times it's been introduced, and from where. To date, we have extracted over 2,000 samples and will be adding more. And it is our hope that this collection of work can help us understand the spread of kudzu across the globe and why this species is so invasive here and in the US, and perhaps how we can learn to control this and other invasive species. This work is really made possible by a lot of contributions from international collaborators as well as student contributors as well. And we'll take questions. Thank you. So the question was, do all these different lineages of Pueraria grow crazily like kudzu does? In actuality, in my experience, no, they do not. They do grow in a similar type of form, at least one of them, Pueraria peduncularis does. It's a vine that will grow like that, but it doesn't grow to be acres big like kudzu. You'll find them in individuals, maybe on one single tree. Some of the other species are very different. They're actually shrubby, scandent shrubs, which will twine at the top, but are not the same way as kudzu, so no.